Hello everyone, and welcome back to Song of Saya. We'll be starting in right where we left off, right as Fuminori is about to come back home. I bit the bullet and tried to take the train, but the rush hour crowds were so bad that I got off halfway and walked. I'm running pretty late. Is Saya worried? I hope she's not mad. When I enter the yard, I realize that the front door has been left wide open. Light from the living room is seeping out into the hallway, and I hear what sounds like someone smacking their lips. There's also a tantalizing fragrance in the air. Is it Saya? I consider calling out to her, but decide to enter in silence instead. Something smells strange, though not unpleasant. The aroma is quite soothing, in fact. It reminds me of Saya's hair. At first, I'm surprised by what I see in the living room. The floor is covered with what looks like some kind of grass, probably the source of the herb-like smell, and there are fruit or vegetable-like balls of varying sizes scattered everywhere. Saya? Saya turns around, her eyes wide with surprise. She then looks away sheepishly, like a child caught at some prank. What are you reading? She stammers, so flustered that I suddenly feel bad for sneaking up on her. Remembering that she has never eaten in front of me before, I realize that she must be quite embarrassed. Can I have one? I scoop the closest fruit thing and pop it into my mouth, ignoring Saya's attempt to wave me off. It has a strange texture, soft and palatable, like a peach or a pear. When I bite into it with my back teeth, the succulent juice fills my mouth, combined with a sharp, strong fragrance. It's unlike anything I've ever tasted. How did you make this? What did you use?
調理ってほどのことは、さばいてからちょっと溶かして食べやすくしただけで、ほとんど生なんだけど。
Oh? I pick up a different lump, this one consisting of a fruity flesh around a hard core. Tearing a chunk off in my mouth, I find that it has a similar taste to the last one.
ねえ、大丈夫？それって。
Yeah, even I can eat this. In fact, it's good.
そうなの?
At first, Saya looks dumbstruck, but then she bursts out laughing.
そうなんだ。ふみのりもこういうのが好きだったんだ。なんだ、あれこれ工夫して頑張ってた私がバカみたい。
Is this what you always eat, Saya?
こんな大物は久しぶりだけどね。うん。近所の公園とかで取ってくれるやつ。
There's an impressive nature preserve not too far from here. I've never heard about fruits like these growing there, but, well, of course. They only look like fruits to me. They really are something else.
ごめんね。一番美味しいところは、さっきさやが全部食べちゃった。
That's okay. There's always next time. And now we can eat together. Saya seems really happy. I'm happy too, of course. Eating with someone is much better and much more fun than eating alone. And it makes the food taste better too.
まだまだいっぱいあるし、食べきれない分は冷やせば 2,3 日は大丈夫だよ。ちょっと味は落ちるんだけどね。
Then we'd better start putting it away. Sealing the small fruits in Tupperware and the large one in pots and bowls, Saya and I store the remaining food in the refrigerator. Thinking of tomorrow's dinner fills me with anticipation. I feel that, little by little, I'm starting to regain my joy of living. Saya will guide me. With her, I can live on. True Scary Stories. Hospital Edition. Chapter 4. The Monster in the University Hospital. A research student relates his shocking experiences at Tokyo's most prestigious hospital. Will you believe him or not? Strange things started happening in the hospital around the end of last spring. It began with patients waking up in the middle of the night, screaming. They all spoke in terrified nightmares, and many of them had to be sedated. Some patients even transferred to other hospitals because of it. The weird thing was that they'd all been exactly the same dream. A dream about some horribly disgusting monster staring down at them from their bedside. Well, the really strange stuff started happening after that. There used to be a lot of stray cats around campus, looking for scraps from the students. One day, the cats suddenly disappeared, and it wasn't that they'd stopped coming. It was more like they'd vanished from the area entirely. And then people started walking their dogs around. According to rumors, the dogs were refusing to go anywhere near the school. Eventually, things started going missing in the hospital. Organs, to be precise. Transplant organs kept disappearing from storage. Some people came close to their jobs over it. And it wasn't just 2 or 3 times that it happened. They tried to keep it from the research students, but we heard that it was a lot worse than that. People started saying that there was something living in the hospital. The janitors would find strange messes that could only have been made in the middle of the night. Traces of something that had crawled in the hallway, or weird stains that seemed to be caused by something dripping through the ceiling. The late shift nurses talked about hearing strange noises on the same night as patients woke screaming. There's one last story, one you can never mention inside the hospital. One day, the obstetrics department went crazy. They said that a newborn had disappeared in the night. If that were true, the police would have come, and it would have been all over the news. But they say the big shots managed to make it all go away. It's just a rumor, of course. These strange incidents suddenly stopped towards the end of summer. Now there's almost no patients complaining of nightmares, and the cats have started coming back to the campus. But still, what happened in the hospital that summer? Even now, just thinking about it gives me the creeps.
ダメだ。
This is the 3rd day in a row that they haven't been able to get in touch with Omi. There's been no sign that she returned to her apartment, and even her family doesn't know anything. Her parents have already filed a missing persons report.
まあ、あいつのことだからな。何事もなかったみたいに、ひょっこり顔出しそうな気もするんだが。
だといいけど。
Yo replies with a gloomy expression. She's worried about Omi, of course, but the incident with Fuminori 3 days ago must still be weighing on her mind as well. Yo hasn't seen Fuminori since then, and Fuminori hasn't made any effort to approach her or Koji. 4 people used to meet in this cafeteria between classes, but now there are only 2.
ねえ、殿くん、もう一度考えてみようよ。どこかオミちゃんの行きそうな場所に心当たりない？
いや、一通りは確かめたしな。
Koji answers evasively. It's a lie, of course. Koji knows where Omi planned to go that evening, but he doesn't want to bring Fuminori up in front of Yo. Their awkward silence is mercifully broken by the bell signaling the start of the next period.
じゃあ、俺行くわ。
If Koji is mistaken, Yo is supposed to have class next period too, but she just sits there staring off into space. Unable to come up with anything to say, he leaves the cafeteria reluctantly. Both Omi's disappearance and Yo's depression worry Koji, and both problems lead back to the exact same place.
海のりは一体。
When Omi went missing, the first thing he had done was question Fuminori. After all, the last time he'd seen her was just before she'd stormed off to give Fuminori a piece of her mind. Fuminori responded with unequivocal denial, and acted like he hadn't the slightest idea of why Omi would have gone to see him. Perhaps that was only natural, as he was unaware that Omi and Koji had witnessed him reduce Yo to tears. Did Omi even make it to Fuminori's house? She had been riding a wave of emotion when she'd left, and might have calmed down and changed her mind halfway there. Or perhaps she ran into trouble along the way. Koji concluded, or more accurately, convinced himself, that one of these possibilities was the truth, subconsciously denying the one remaining possibility, that Fuminori was lying, that he had met Omi and was involved with her disappearance. When questioned by the police, Koji told the truth about Omi's destination, only up to the train station, maintaining that he had no idea where she planned to go after that. He wanted to cooperate with the search, of course, but Omi couldn't have made it to Fuminori's house. Fuminori said so himself, didn't he? In that case, he'd told the police everything they needed to know. Not wanting to get the still fragile Fuminori involved, he forced himself to accept this flimsy logic. But the conflict had built up inside of him without his noticing, leaving unanswered suspicion to fester in his mind. Koji is deep in thought, paying no attention to his surroundings, but perhaps that is what allows him to catch sight of his friend's back through the crowd of milling students.
Fuminori?
At first, Koji assumes he's headed to the lecture hall, but it soon appears that he's instead going home. Strange. Medical students have required courses in the afternoon. Though he's initially surprised, Koji's hesitation lasts only for a second. He follows his friend, taking care to stay far enough behind that he wouldn't be noticed. Fuminori isn't going home. That became obvious when he boarded a train heading in the opposite direction. Koji's next guess is that he was going to see his doctor at the T University Hospital. But Fuminori rode straight through the closest station.
どこに向かってる?
At first, Koji felt ashamed for tailing his friend like this, but his confidence fell silent as Fuminori's actions grew more suspicious. The stranger it gets, the closer Koji feels to discovering the truth behind Fuminori's sudden transformation. Any knowledge would be welcome, no matter how slight. Even Koji's beginning to think that there must be some more behind Fuminori's change than the accident alone. He wants a more satisfying answer, one that will help him decide whether Fuminori can still be trusted. Fuminori gets off at a small station in a nondescript suburb of Tokyo. Koji follows, trying not to lose sight of him amid the other disembarking passengers. The area is quite desolate, with only a small bookstore, a convenience store, and a market in front of the train station. It's easy for Koji to keep Fuminori in view. This neighborhood was carved out of the Fuji foothills, and here are the moraines, are steep inclines and wooded areas that escape assimilation. Koji is amazed what such a quiet place still exists less than an hour out of central Tokyo. Fuminori seems to know the streets. He moves quickly and purposefully through the suburban community, his eyes fixed straight ahead. Before long, Fuminori reaches a house. Without ringing the bell or even knocking, he opens the door and vanishes inside, leaving Koji to wonder how Fuminori can treat the house as his own. After waiting to see if Fuminori comes back out, Koji approaches the gate to check the nameplate. Ogai, it reads. Koji has never heard of anyone with that name among Fuminori's acquaintances. Next, his attention is drawn to the thick wad of leaflets sticking out of the mail slot. This, coupled with the general dilapidated feel of the place, suggests that it's been abandoned for some time. A small playground about 2 blocks away provides an adequate vantage point for him to watch the front of the Ogai home. Fortunately, it does not appear to be the sort of house that has a rear exit. Koji settles down on the bench to begin his stakeout. I should have brought more smokes. 1 hour passes, then another, but there remains no sign of movement around the Ogai residence. Soon, twilight settles upon the neighborhood. After Koji's 1 pack of cigarettes runs out, the stakeout becomes a battle against mounting impatience. He kills time by redialing Omi on his cell, and sending her short text messages, but his efforts are futile, as he knew they would be. When the sky begins to turn deep blue when the streetlights come on, Fuminori finally emerges from the house and heads back towards the station with the same hurried stride. After some brief consideration, Koji decides that right now investigating the house is more important than tailing Fuminori. He rings the doorbell just to make sure. After receiving the extended silence and responds, he checks to make sure no one is watching and turns the doorknob. The door is not locked. The moment he enters the house, stale air, thick with mold and dust, fills Goji's nostrils. It is the unmistakable smell of a house that has long lain untouched. There is also a faint hint of something else in the air, something reminiscent of damp sewers and fetid cisterns. Flipping the light switch does nothing. The power must be cut off. Koji uses his cigarette lighter to illuminate the immediate area. In the thick dust covering the floor, he sees several brand new trails of footprints that could have only been made by his shoes, Fuminori's. Koji decides to follow suit and dispense with courtesy. He enters with his shoes on. The lighter's flickering flame pushes back the deathly silence and gloom of the house. Koji is surprised to see evidence of life remaining. Everything from furniture to tableware and appliances. Nothing seems to be missing. The thickness of the dust suggests that the house has been empty for several months, which means that the owner must have left with little more than the clothes on his back. Could he have gone on a long vacation? The calendar in the den is still turned to April. Empty and silent, yet still exhibiting signs of the life that was once lived there. The house reminds Koji of a passenger ship entombed in the bottom of the sea. In the graveyard-like quiet, a sinister thought suddenly enters his mind. No one is living here, but that does not mean that the owner has left. Maybe he was murdered, and his rotting corpse is right under Koji's feet. He finds himself wanting a stronger light. A flashlight in his hand would make him feel much better. Koji follows Fuminori's footsteps to the second floor, where he begins to catch the scent of paper in the stale air. It is the smell of old books, instantly recognizable by anyone who has worked in an antique store or library. The first room on the second floor turns out to be a study, its towering shelves packed with a vast number of books that Koji fears for the stability of the floors. As a medical student himself, he is able to discern at a glance that his study belongs to a medical profession, and a high-level one at that. Judging by the content of the books, a smorgasbord of technical volumes far beyond a simple student's understanding, the owner's interest lies more with medical research than with clinical practice. Fuminori must have spent most of his time here. The scattered dust suggests that he was searching for something. The contents of the desk drawers are in obvious disarray. A small pile of books stacked on the side table catches his eye. Being next to the desk, they must have been the most frequently read. Their nature could shed some light on the character of the person who worked here. Koji frowns as he examines the 3 books. There aren't any scientific tests like the rest, but old, leather-bound Western tomes, like the sort you'd find in a rare bookstore. The titles are meaningless to him. Traité des Chiffres appears to concern semantics, but Ars Magna et Ultima is some kind of treatise on divination. And then there's a Voynich manuscript, which looks like some sort of picture book. When he pages through it, he finds the text utterly incomprehensible. Maybe some kind of cipher. Whatever they are, they clearly have nothing to do with medicine, refuting Koji's earlier guess that Ogai was a doctor. Looking down, Koji suddenly notices a glint of something black and metallic beneath the chair. A pocket-sized flashlight, quite out of place amongst these dusty books. Fuminori must have brought it in. With relief, Koji exchanges his lighter for the flashlight. His tiny body emits a powerful white beam that casts away the darkness. His courage restored, he decides to explore the rest of the house. Koji noticed something strange that was not visible in the lighter's weaker flame. The slime. Dark, oily stains are everywhere. The stains are especially thick around the doorknobs and stair banister, like someone grasped them with hands wrapped in a greasy cloth. Looking closer, he sees places where slime is splashed low on the walls, almost as if a wet mop was run violently across the floor. Could a guy have made these marks? If so, how? Koji begins to feel sick as he imagines the man stumbling through the house with slime dripping from his body. Finding the bedroom next to the study, Koji checks the closet on a hunch. He discovers 2 empty suitcases. Not what one would leave behind if they were going on a long vacation. A sudden chill runs through him. Whoever was living here is still somewhere inside the house. Suppressing the urge to flee, Koji goes back downstairs to check the first floor. If he finds a corpse, he'll have to call the police right away. He might get away with trespassing if he reports it first, but if they find the body later, it'll be awfully hard to explain his fingerprints all over the house. The flashlight reveals the den to be covered in even more slime than the rest of the house. The sofa looks as though it was dredged from the bottom of a swamp. In the kitchen, Koji takes one look at the sink and decides not to get any closer. He doesn't want any more fuel for his imagination. He reaches the door to the bathroom. A common scene from TV dramas flashes through his head. A body with split wrists floating in a bathtub full of water. And wasn't there a movie where a hitman disposes of his victim in a bathtub filled with lye? Koji braces himself for the worst and opens the bathroom door slowly. Then shines his light into the ceramic bathtub that appears from the darkness like a white ghost. Bones. So many bones. Bones black with dry flesh and blood. Koji puts one hand against the wall to steady himself as his legs threaten to buckle. Something's wrong. He realizes as he tries desperately to get his thoughts in order. The bones are too small, and there's far too many of them. They aren't human. After taking several deep breaths to calm himself, Koji enters the bathroom and examines the tub. The bones are piled atop each other like fallen leaves. They appear to be from small animals, perhaps cats or dogs. Even so, the quantity is mind-boggling. How many bodies would it take to produce this many bones? The bones have all been separated from one another, so it doesn't look like the bodies were just thrown into the tub and left to rot. Each bone is covered with deep grooves, marks left by teeth biting through flesh. Koji's sanity won't let him consider the possibility that a human could have done this. The owner of this house must have kept some sort of carnivorous animals as a pet, giving it the bones of small animals to eat and disposing of the remains in the bathtub. But why not dispose of the leftovers properly? They could have just been thrown out with the garage, or garbage. Or was there something else keeping him from leaving the house? With relief, Koji felt when he realized the bones weren't humans, once again under attack. In the first place, what the hell was Fuminori doing here? What's wrong, Koji? Koji whirls around, his light revealing Fuminori's expressionless face. You're trespassing.
お前だって同じだろうが。
Koji replies, barely managing to speak over the pounding of his heart. Fuminori pushes past Koji and looks in the bathtub. He doesn't even flinch at the sight of the bones. A friend of mine lives here. I'm just running an errand.
知り合いって、いつから？一体何者なんだ？
Koji didn't want to believe that the friend of the old friendly Fuminori could have had contact with the denizens of this house. I'll introduce you one of these days, he says, turning to leave without even a glance at Koji. I owe her my life.
おい、Fuminori!
Koji runs after Fuminori. His heart is finally beating normally again.
お前まさか 近頃様子がおかしいのはその知り合いっていうやつのせいなんじゃ。
Standing in the entrance, Fuminori glares coldly at Koji over his shoulder. The utter lack of emotion in his eyes gives Koji pause. You followed me, didn't you? Koji swallows. What can he say? You're starting to bother me, Koji. Don't do it again. Fuminori walks away without another word, leaving Koji alone in the entrance. Up until this very moment, concern for his friend was still at the forefront of his mind. However, now that concern has swiftly given way to a growing sense of dread. The Fuminori he knew no longer exist. Was the person who just stared Koji down an imposter wearing Fuminori's skin? Koji has begun to believe that it might be so. What a nuisance. Why does he insist on interfering? If he only spoke with me to exchange pleasantries, even I could bear it. But now he's sticking his nose into my business just to satisfy his curiosity. Koji is a perfect example of someone who thinks that it's always good to take an interest in other people's affairs. He probably thinks that he's doing me a favor by prying into my personal life. He couldn't be more wrong. If he keeps this up, I might have to find some way to deal with him. Like Saya said, I have to keep my search for Dr. Ogai a secret. Koji could ruin everything. I didn't have time to fully investigate the Ogai residence today. At this rate, it will probably take several days just to go through the study. Saya didn't believe that I'd find anything to help with the search. But I think there's still a lot to explore. Who knows what I'll discover? The problem is Koji. He knows about the house now. Will he make things difficult? A hair-raising voice calls as I'm about to pass through my gate. Suppressing a shudder, I put on a fake smile and turn to face the writhing mass of rotten flesh that is staring at me with bulging eyes. Yes, I am. Of course. This is my next-door neighbor, Suzu, a middle-aged painter, I think, who spends all day at home with his wife, works. I haven't had much contact with him since the accident. Why is he suddenly talking to me now? Yes. Thank you for your help. Yeah. And what is this? Did he stop me just to deliver a lecture? Yes, I suppose it's rather difficult. I'm still a student. I can't really afford the expense. The flesh beats, indwells foully, as though it still has something to say. The sight of it is driving me close to the edge. No, thank you. I'll manage on my own. Now I get it. He's worried that the unsightliness of my house might diminish the image of his own. Damn snob. I flash a token smile, then retreat behind the safety of my gate. I can feel Suzumi's eyes boring into my back, all the way to the front door. Why don't everyone just stay out of my life? I just want to live together with Saya, alone where no one will ever bother us. Suzumi Yusuke sighs in annoyance as he watches the neighbor boy retreat into his house. What's with his attitude? Even while talking, he kept his eyes averted, as if trying to look at something repulsive. Has he always been such an unpleasant young man? No, of course not. When his parents were still alive, he had been a normal youth. a little shy but sensitive and caring. The unfamiliarity of living alone must be causing him undue stress. If this continues, he might start to develop some serious mental problems. Or is it already too late? Yusuke wonders as he gazes wearily at the Sasaki's yard. Sakisaka. Fuck. Even during dinner, Yusuke can't shake the neighboring house from his mind.
どうしたのあなた。難しそうな顔して。
今日ね、隣の家の息子に会ったよ。
お隣のって文則お兄ちゃん？
ああ、庭のこと一言言っておいた。
そうよね。せめてあの匂いだけはどうにかしてもらいたいわよね。
The stink coming from the Sakisaka yard, a house has grown worse each day, and the Suzumi family is at its wit's end.
あの草むらの中に死んだ猫でもいるんじゃないかしら。
まさかとは思うが、生ゴミをそのまま庭に捨てているんじゃあるまいな。
そんな、いくらなんでもそこまで。
いや、今の様子だとやりかねん。一日中ずっと雨戸を閉め切って何をやってるのかもわからない。どういう暮らしをしているのやら。
お兄ちゃん、頭おかしくなっちゃったのかな。これヒロミ、そういう言い方はダメよ。
いや、あれは本当にちょっとどうすぎてる。ひょっとしたら変質狂か何かかもしれんな。
大丈夫なのそれ。
早く自覚して医者にでも行ってもらわんことにはなんともな。
Neighbors. The seconds crawled by, each tick of the clock compounding my agony. When I returned from the Ogai residence, I was greeted by a silent, empty house. Saya had vanished without leaving any clue as to her whereabouts. It isn't rare for her to go on walks at night. I've often gone with her. However, such an outing always takes place in the middle of the night, when no one's around. It never lasts more than 2 hours. Right now it's 5 in the morning. Soon the sky will begin to show the first light of dawn. Even if she left right before I returned, she'd still be gone for almost half a day. I can't sleep. I can only wait in anguish. I tried to distract myself by painting more rooms, but I couldn't concentrate on the work. If I had known this would happen, I would have left the Ogai house sooner. I wish I hadn't wasted time on Koji. If Saya doesn't return... The thought makes me want to tear up my hair. After its long absence, the terror of true loneliness is too much to bear.
Tadaima!
At last, the cowbell chimes and Saya's long-awaited, you heard it, rings from the bottom of the stairs. As I jump out of the bed in relief, all the stress that has built up through the night is released in a wave that threatens to sweep me off my feet.
疲れた。やっぱり往復すると遠いな。
Saya sighs as she climbs the stairs. Saya, where have you? The question trails off as I notice the thick bundles of paper that she's carrying under her arms. What are those?
文則のカルテとか手術の記録。今日は古巣の病院に行ってきたの。
Saya drops her bundles on the floor, sending papers flying everywhere, then pulls her favorite cushion over and collapses onto it, stretching luxuriously. You walked all the way back from the hospital in the middle of the night?
ごめんね。本当はもっと早く帰れると思ってたんだけど、調べ出したらキリがなくて。
She says, skillfully gathering the scattered papers together.
結局、全部持ち出してきちゃった。重かった。
Maybe it's just the exhaustion, but I'm not understanding a word Saya's saying. What are you planning to do with all this?
どうするって、もちろん調べるのよ。うちで時間かけてじっくり。
She replies, holding one MRI photograph after another up to the light.
あら、何やってんだか。 これは要チェックかな。
At first, I think she's just playing around, with the occasional mutters of
そうなんだ。
those
うん。
and the
なんだ
like.
かな。
As she separates photos from a growing pile beside her, it makes me think that this might not be a joke after all. Do you understand this stuff?
パパにいろいろと教わったから。なるほどね。そういうこと。
She flashes me a grin, then returns to the papers.
これじゃいつまで経っても直せないよね。
It can't?
人間のお医者さんじゃね。
I can't tell if she's being serious.
私でもまだちょっと難しいかな。いろいろと試してからでないと。
She says offhandedly, even as her hands continue to shuffle papers. Watching more closely, I realize that her eyes are scanning each page rapidly. So rapidly, in fact, that I was unable to notice at first. Is it possible that Saya, a young girl, is actually reading my charts? Hey, Saya.
ん？
She answers coolly, looking up from the charts. I'm tired. Let's go to bed.
文則がそうしたいならそうする。
Saya replies with a grin. Saya tosses aside the papers she was sorting, then leaps onto me and begins to tear off my clothes. Hey!
ねえ、寝る前に一回だけ。
Contrary to her appearance, Saya's appetite for sex would put any adult to shame. You could even say it's a little unnatural. She's not just passionate, she also has unlimited stamina, making me wonder where her slender body gets all her energy from. Never satisfied with letting me feast on her to my heart's content, she always uses me to pleasure herself until I'm forced to tap out. Hey, Saya, don't you think it's unhealthy to be doing this every day?
え、文則、どこか具合が悪いの？
No, not me. My body's all grown up, but you're still...
平気だよ。
She laughs playfully as she pushes me onto the bed. The familiar sweet sensation of her weight and skin renders me helpless. But I'm worried. We haven't used any contraception. To my astonishment, Saya is completely uninterested in safe sex. She doesn't just enshrue protection. She even insists that I ejaculate inside of her. Surely she must know the risks, which can only mean that she wants to get pregnant.
文則はさ、さやに子供産ませるの嫌？
She whispers, staring straight into my eyes. How can I respond to that? It's not that. Your body is too small. Pregnancy is a serious burden, you know?
文則が心配してることって割と的外れなんだけど。
Saya seems unsure of how to reply, but not because she doesn't understand what I said. Rather, the bemused look on her face makes it seem as though I'm the one not getting it.
でもそれって文則がさやのことを大事に思ってくれてるからなんだよね。それはそれで嬉しい。
She says suddenly, her smile glowing with innocence. By the time I break the spell of her angelic smile, Saya has undone my belt and is removing my pants. Come on, Saya.
大丈夫。じゃあ今夜は文則が心配しないような方法でしてあげる。
She says, teasingly as she bares my crotch and wraps her slender white fingers around my penis and testicles. The feeling of her willowy, unblemished fingers embracing me is enough to fill me with twisted ecstasy and draw out my male instinct. Ugh. Seeing my response, Saya brings her face to my groin and lovingly wraps her lips around the head of my penis. Dumb. My hips jerk involuntarily at the unexpected intense shock of her sucking hard on such a sensitive area.
痛かった？
She asks, looking timidly up at me as she soothingly strokes my shaft. No, I'm fine. Where did Saya learn how to pleasure a man so well? I can't believe the precision and skill of her ministrations. Her sinuous fingers are like snakes coiled around my manhood, their sensual undulations drawing desire forth from my loins. As if all 10 of her fingers weren't enough to drone me in pleasure. Next she adds her lips and tongue. I think we need to add a few more sound effects to the text here. Is it on a loop? I think it might be on a fucking loop, oh my god. Okay, with the mind-blowing pleasure from this new stimulation instantly threatens to push me over the edge. A damp heat different than that of her womb presses down on me from all directions. Oh my god, it is on a loop, what the fuck? Okay, really? Looking down, I see my lust filling her tiny mouth, stretching the graceful lines of her cheeks and jaw so far that I fear she might break. The sight makes me worry that she's pushing herself too hard, but her tongue continues to devour me like a kitten, desperately sucking on her mother's teeth. It's still going. As I watch, I begin to feel like I'm violating Saya's innocence. Unsullied face. The feeling of breaking a taboo further increases my perverted ecstasy. In every man lurks the desire to spoil that which is beautiful. Saya's bewitching body, able to drive me mad every night, is perfectly designed to draw out such savage lusts. Saya, I can't hold it anymore. I'll come any second now. But where? When the moment comes, what will I do with this thing inside his mouth? Hey, wait. I'm going to... I try to pull out, but Saya doesn't let me. She grabs my thighs and doubles the intensity of her sucking, as if she's trying to pull me even deeper into her throat. I'm worried about her, but my body is at its limit. As irresistible waves of pleasure sweep away my willpower, I unleash my pent-up seed deep in Saya's throat. What have I done? I feel panic rise within me. Regardless of the situation, I shouldn't have ejaculated into her mouth. What if she chokes on it? Saya, however, pays no heed to my distress. Still clinging to my waist, like a predator unwilling to relinquish its prey, she starts swallowing effortlessly, like someone dying of hunger. What is she swallowing? The answer is obvious. Every last drop of the passion that I just disgorged into her mouth. Disgorged is a nice word. Can we just throw that out there? This is the first time I've ever had a girl do this to me. To be honest, I'm speechless with shock. I've always been prejudiced against fellatio, thinking that it to be something that perverted, sadistic men force women to do. But Saya...
美味しかったよ、ふみのり。
She looks up at me, answering my confusion by smiling like she just pulled the greatest prank of her life. Her small tongue darts out from her lips to lick away the last milky remnants around her mouth. That tongue was just licking my... The thought sends my worrying jolt of pleasure to my brain.
これだったら、ふみのりだって心配ないでしょ?
Well... That's hardly the problem, but I have no idea how to respond.
ねえ、ダメだった?こういうのだと気持ちよくない?
Hearing the sudden nervousness in Saya's voice, I hastily stammer. Of course it felt good. In fact, it felt so good that I thought I'd go crazy. But I can't say that. Can I? But Saya, you didn't have to swallow it.
そんな、あれはさやにちょうだいよ。
Suddenly distraught, Saya clings to me like a child who's just had her candy stolen.
ふみのりのは言っ 滴だって残さずにほしい。鞘の中に出してほしいの。
Inside you? So Saya really does want to bear my child. I'm not adverse to the idea. I still think it might be too early, of course. But there isn't much point in worrying about my reputation now. Assuming that Saya and I will be left alone, I even welcome it. However, that only explains her appetite for normal sex. I don't know why she wants to swallow, of all things, during fellatio. Well, I suppose what's pure or taboo differs from person to person. I can't simply apply normal values to Sayo.
文則は嫌？
She gazes upon me pleadingly. How can I resist? I do like it. As long as you're okay with it, so am I. Saya smiles with relief and burrows contentedly into my chest.
文則大好き。
She purrs softly. With her body draped over mine, I become even more aware of how light and delicate she is. Can this tiny girl and I really live as husband and wife? I feel a pang of self-loathing at the question. How can I still be afraid after all that's happened? Saya's feelings are so earnest. How can I not accept them? I need to resolve, once and for all, to rid myself of the useless trappings of morality. Saya and I are all that matters. There's no point in worrying about what others think anymore. Although I suppose I should still talk to Saya's guardian, of course. I need to find Dr. Ogai as soon as possible. By the time I drift to sleep, in exhaustion's comforting embrace, all doubts about Saya's actions have vanished from my mind. Whatever the case, all that matters is that she's returned to me. Alright everyone, that's that. So, we'll end things here for part, what are we on, 3? Pretty sure we're on 3. Part 3 of Song of Saya. Hope you all enjoyed, and hope you learned a little bit more about Saya. Because the moment you realize it's beautiful. The story makes such a great thing, don't you think? I love the story. It's so beautiful. And actually knowing like what's going to happen ahead of time allows me to enjoy it further, I feel. So, thank y'all for watching. Again, hope you all enjoyed, and keep on the lookout for the next one. It'll be coming up tomorrow. Same time, same place. Yeah, alright. Until next time, everyone, thanks for watching, and bye-bye.